Hello everybody and welcome back to a Royal Reader. My name is Cece and today I'm going to be doing my December wrap up. I know it's a little bit late, but let's just get into it anyway. So December was actually the best reading month for me. I read a total of 7 books, which is insane. But unfortunately, the last week of December, I did sort of hit a little bit of a wall / reading slump that I still haven't really gotten out of. It's a thing. So let's get into the books that I read. So firstly, I read Fortuna Swarm by KJ Sutton. This is the first book in a dark fae romance series that follows our main character Fortuna Swarm, who is a mythical being called a nightmare. She has the abilities to make you see your worst nightmares, basically. At the beginning of this book, it has been 2 years since Fortuna's younger brother Damon went missing, and she is hellbent on trying to find him. She has no leads, no clues whatsoever until a dark fae approaches her and says that he knows where he is and he can take her to him, but she has to marry him in order for the deal to be sealed. So that is where the story starts off. I'm not going to go into too much more detail because it was quite a surprising read for me when I discovered that there was more to it than just that. I really did enjoy this. The characters were really interesting and I am excited to continue on with the series. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars and I finished it within like I think 2 days. Next up, I also finished another sort of fae elf romance, and that's going to be A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Cover. I really enjoyed this book. So in this we have our main character Luella, who lives in a town that's sort of separated by the elf lands by this like mist, I guess you could say, and she is the town's healer. And in this place the elves come and collect a human girl every 100 years or so to be the human queen over in the elf kingdom. This is when the girl starts showing signs of magical powers, but unfortunately in Luella's time there has been no sort of girl that's come forward with these magical powers, so there is currently no human queen for the elves to pick. So when the elf king Eldest does come to pick his bride, there is no one to go with him. So through a series of circumstances he picks Luella and she gets whisked away to the Elflands and sort of has to deal with learning about the royals and their sort of customs and things like that, and also having to deal with Eldest and his really snarky attitude. And it was just so good. This made my top 10 books of 2020, so if you haven't seen that video, please do check it out. I really enjoyed Luella as a character. She was just the best to read from. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It makes me really excited to read more of Elise Cover's works. So yes. So next on the list is one that I completed in my 24-hour readathon, which is If We Were Villains by ML Rio. This is a dark academia murder mystery. I think all dark academia books are murder mystery, but this is the first one that I have ever read. This book follows our main character Oliver, who is just being released out of jail. He is approached by the detective who worked on the case that he was sent to jail for, and he is retiring, and he says, look, I want to know what happened, just tell me. I just want to know. I don't believe anything that actually happened. And so then we go back in time to when Oliver is at this really like prestigious school with his friends, and they are all Shakespearean students, so they learn about Shakespeare and they put on all of these plays. And out of the group of Oliver's friends, one of them is actually killed and you don't know who has done the deed, so then you have to go through the rest of the book to try and figure out who did it and why, and how is Oliver mixed up in it. So this was so good. I am a massive Shakespeare nerd, which I've said in the last couple of videos. I really enjoyed this. The green tabs in this book is actually where the kids actually said quotes from Shakespeare's book, which is just I was just having a good grand old time. So yes, I was very, very surprised by the plot twist towards the end of the book and figuring out who exactly the murderer was. It was just so good. This is definitely a really easy and fun dark academia book that I really enjoyed. So yeah. On the same night as I read the If We Were Villains book, I also read The Ravens by Danielle Page and Cass Morgan. This is a witchy sorority. That's a word, yeah? I think that's a word. Witchy book that follows two main characters. Our first main character is Scarlet, and she is hellbent on trying to get the head sorority. That's the word. It's a sorority. So Scarlet is trying to get like the head sorority head girl, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember. But she really wants to get it because her mother and her sister have both gotten the position, and so it's sort of like, you know, up to her to get the position as well. The sorority that she lives in, Kappa Rho Nu, has a full house of witches, and so at the beginning of this college year, when they're doing their rushing, they discover new witches that they either didn't know they were a witch or they do know that they're witches, and they induct them into the sorority, which is where we follow our second main character, Vivi. She does not know that she is a witch, and on the eve of the sorority rushes, I don't know, I'm Australian, I don't know sororities, okay? She discovers that she is a witch and is sort of inducted into the sorority house and learns about herself and her powers that she has. There is an underlying tone of a murder mystery throughout this book, which I thoroughly enjoyed, as well as the atmosphere. The atmosphere of this book is definitely the best, in my opinion, out of the whole sort of like characters and writing and things like that. The atmosphere was perfect. This is a perfect book for October slash the fall times. It was so good with that atmosphere. Definitely pick this up if you're wanting a witchy book. The witchy vibes in this are just the best. So good. Gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Loved it. After that, I decided to pick up a little bit more of a lighter, well, at least I thought it was going to be light to read, and that's going to be Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the Morrigan Crow series slash Nevermore series. This obviously follows the events that took place in the first book, which I can't really go into too much details because it is a bit of a spoiler. So we follow Morrigan as she is learning about herself and the events that are taking place. This book was such a fun time, but it was also very heartbreaking because Morrigan is bullied throughout the course of the book, which is very hard to see, and it's difficult because I have been bullied in my own school life, so seeing her get bullied just made me want to like wrap her up in a hug and tell her that she's okay. So it was definitely a bit of a heartstring pull for me personally. I don't know if other people are going to feel the same way, but I really did enjoy that, and I really did enjoy seeing Jessica Townsend write these conflicts that happen, and it sort of made me think that this is going to be a good book for children to read so that they can see the repercussions of their actions, whether they just be words or physical. It still has an effect on a person, so I really did enjoy that, as well as just everything else about this book. This book series is just amazing. It's so whimsical and fun, and I really did enjoy it. I am definitely looking forward to reading the next book in the series, which is Hollowpox. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I obviously gave this a 5 out of 5 stars as well, in case that wasn't obvious. The next book that I finished was Restless Slumber by KJ Sutton. This is the second book in the Fortuna Swarm series. Oh my god, this book. The ending just ripped my heart out. I was not prepared. I did not appreciate it. I was very hurt. I just don't understand why and how and everything. I obviously can't go into too much detail because it is the second book in this series, and I did mention the first book earlier in this video, so it follows the repercussions of the first book, and I still can't get over the ending. I still can't get over the ending. It hurts, okay? It hurts. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I managed to read for the month of December was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This was one of my anticipated releases for 2020. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920 Shanghai, where we follow 2 heirs of rival gangs. We have Juliet Kai, who is the heir to the Scarlet Gang, and then we have Roma Montagov, yes, who is the heir to the White Flowers. Did I say that right? Yes, I did get it right, yay. So we have the 2 main characters who are ex-lovers, and Juliet has just come back from her time abroad to take up her mantle as the heir of the Scarlet Gang, when all of a sudden this sort of madness slash virus starts plaguing the city of Shanghai, where people who are infected end up clawing out their throats and just dying. So through a series of circumstances, Juliet ends up having to team up with Roma. They have to put aside their differences to try and figure out where exactly this virus is coming from and who is behind it all and stuff like that. This was a really interesting Romeo and Juliet retelling. Like I said earlier, I am a Shakespeare nerd. I have reread and acted in Romeo and Juliet multiple times. So I really did enjoy seeing this and seeing the different characters that, you know, correlated with the original characters. We have Benedict and Marshall, who obviously play Mercutio and Benvolio in the original, and I really enjoyed their relationship, which I think is leaning more towards a male-male romance. I'm not entirely too sure. This does leave on a cliffhanger, which I was not expecting, and it makes me really excited to pick up the sequel whenever it comes out. I still can't believe how it ended. I was shooketh. It makes me excited to pick up the sequel. So yes, if you have not picked this up yet, I do highly suggest you give it a read, because it was definitely one of the best Romeo and Juliet retellings that I have read. So yeah, so that was the last book that I actually managed to read for December. I did originally have Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor on the list, but unfortunately it started to put me into a bit of a reading slump, so I have had to drop out of the Dosab-along that I was doing, which is where Maddie and a bunch of other booktubers were rereading the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. So I have had to stop that, and I have also stopped with my read of Deadly Dreams, which is the 3rd book in the Fortuna Swarm series, because it was also putting me into a slump. I do think that it's because I read so many books in a short amount of time. I think I read 4 books in 1 week, so yeah. But overall, I do have to say that I did enjoy most of the books that I read, and I am pleasantly surprised to find out that I could read so many books in 1 month. So yeah, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and let me know what your thoughts were down below in the comments. If you want to see more of me, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as check out all of my social media links. I have Goodreads, Twitter, Instagram. Go and have a look down in the description box, and yeah, I will talk to you guys in another video later on.